Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Blood, Sweat, and Beers NFL podcast. My name's Eric. This is my friend Josh. We're here to talk about, we're here to wrap up a little bit what we saw in the preseason and get started with what's coming up here in the regular season. We're excited. Football's almost back. It is Tuesday, September
6th today.
September 6th, the Tuesday right before Thursday. NFL kickoff.
Rams
We got Rams Bills. Yep, that's going to be exciting. Lots of fun stuff to look forward to. So we'll dive right into it here and hope you guys enjoy. Josh, what's on the menu?
First, we're going to start off with preseason recaps. Starting off with standouts. I have a couple in mind myself. People that really stood out during the preseason. I know everybody says preseason doesn't matter, but these guys really showed up. I'll start off with my first one, Tyler Huntley from the Ravens.
Oh.
He really showed up. I mean, he was 31 out of 36 passing throughout the whole preseason. And one stat I did find out, and it's pretty bananas, the Ravens have won 23 straight preseason games. That's pretty impressive.
They didn't lose one at all this year?
They haven't lost one for
Oh,
quite a while.
they were cutting it close in one game, I think. But I guess they did keep the streak alive.
Yeah, that's
Hey, preseason or not, that is pretty impressive.
That's pretty impressive. I really think Huntley's a guy, let's say Lamar holds out or, God forbid something happens in a pinch. I don't think they'll miss a step.
Yeah, well, he proved that last year too when Lamar Jackson went down and he came in and he performed like a serviceable NFL quarterback. He even has the legs to do so.
He does, yeah.
Yeah.
He's perfect for that offense. So.
Yeah, I agree. One of my guys, I talked a little bit about him last episode, but Romeo Doubs for the Green Bay Packers. I actually read an article the other day. I can't remember the source, but they said it was one of the top 2 steals of the entire NFL draft. This Romeo Doubs kid, he's just seems to be electric, and what makes me think is that if the Packers truly did strike gold on him, and we really didn't see him, Christian Watson, his wide receiver counterpart that got drafted higher than him in the NFL draft, what he could potentially bring to the table. Now, I don't see Christian Watson starting off too strong. That's just kind of how Rodgers is with all of his rookies when he gets into the regular season. But I do see him eventually stepping in, halfway through the season and, kind of picking it up and really learning that offense, really becoming an integral part of that and a scheming fit, if you will, for their offense. I also think too that Matt LaFleur has even said that it's going to be kind of like a wide receiver by committee, so to speak. So you're not going to always have, Allen Lazard, Sammy Watkins, Randall Cobb out on the field for the first play of every single drive in every game. It's going to be kind of a mix-up, and I think that's important. Really getting Rodgers used to all the different talent he has around him there. So, yeah, I'm definitely excited to see what Romeo Doubs and the rest of these Christian Watson, the rest of the wide receiver core can do.
Do you have a comp to Romeo Doubs?
Romeo Doubs, for some reason I keep wanting to say like Deebo Samuel, even though they didn't really use him in that way. So maybe more so like AJ Brown, I would say. Just kind of like this bigger guy who can zip down the field.
So good field vision.
Yeah, good field vision. I guess when I was thinking Deebo Samuel, I was thinking Treylon Burks. That was more of the comparison that I was thinking of. But yeah, maybe AJ Brown. Obviously, he's not going to perform like AJ Brown this year. I don't expect him to go off and get 1,400 plus yards or anything. But
that'd be more than good for you guys.
Yeah, no, that's kind of what I see.
Okay. I'm going to throw another name out there. Damian Pierce from the Texans. He pretty much just ran away with that job,
He took over.
I mean, they cut Marlon Mack because they see this kid as a number 1 and they're really running with him. So he really stood out to me. And then one last one, George Pickens for the Steelers.
Yeah, George
Boy.
Pickens, yeah.
They know how to pick them, no pun intended, but they did a really good job. They always seem to find that, steal in the draft, as you guys obviously did as well with Dobbs. But yeah, it looks really impressive. So good things ahead. Did you have one more, Eric?
Well, speaking of the Steelers, you mentioned George Pickens. Kenny Pickett, their quarterback. I mean,
Yeah.
he played pretty well. I think it's kind of been alluded to that Mitchell Trubisky will be the starter there in Pittsburgh, but Kenny Pickett looked pretty good. I feel like, things aren't working out the way that Mike Tomlin wants them to go there in Pittsburgh, that they might just pull Trubisky and put in Kenny Pickett. He looks like one of the best throwers for sure in this rookie class here this year.
Yeah, and poised as well.
Yeah,
He didn't seem rattled like most rookies do. And Trubisky was officially announced as the starter and a team captain as well. So they do see him as their leader, but we'll see what happens.
Right.
Yeah. I do have a couple other ones here. Defensive standouts, as far as that goes. That was kind of our offensive standouts in the preseason. One that stood out to me was the linebacker from the Titans. I can't pronounce his name, David Enai. But anyways, he was undrafted, 3 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, 2 passes defended. That's pretty outstanding. That really leaps out. And with Landry out, for an ACL tear.
Landry,
Yeah, Landry. That's going to be huge. They're going to need someone to step up and be that guy. So.
yeah. Is he he's an outside linebacker then?
Yeah, so he'll probably serve as a rush, blitzer kind of thing.
Huh. Was he a rookie? I'm not familiar with the name.
Yeah,
Actually.
undrafted.
Wow.
Yeah, so
Interesting.
they really found someone special there. So, any defensive players that stood out to you?
I truly didn't pay attention to defenses that much. If I was watching a preseason game, it was the Packers, and it's hard to kind of pick out those stars in defense in the preseason. Everyone's running that vanilla defense. They don't want to give away their schemes or anything.
Yeah.
But I can't think of some defensive units to look for. I think the Packers are, of course I'm biased, but the Packers are going to be, I think, underrated this year, and people are going to hopefully respect them a little bit more and get them on their radars. Other teams, the Broncos, they look like they got a good start to the season anyways for their defense.
They always are pretty stout. They always seem to be in the top 5, top 10 defenses, and now they have a top 5 quarterback, arguably, with Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
Some would argue, but
Yeah.
I think they're in pretty good hands there.
Yeah, but other than certain units, I don't really have any.
Yeah,
defensive
preseason
standouts.
is tough.
I mean, Hutchinson, he looked as advertised, right? So
He did. He's
Yeah.
coming to work every day with his lunch pail, so that's something I have to look for. He's just going to come in and bust his butt every day and put in. Last thing I'll talk about as far as preseason goes, because I'm sure you guys are probably over that. I mean, we're starting football season Thursday, and that's more than exciting. I don't know if you saw it, but they had that kick returner from the Cowboys who he returned a punt and kick return in the same game against the Chargers.
Oh, I was getting updates on that.
Yeah.
I didn't get to see that though.
Yeah, Kevontae Turbin, also a rookie, so he really lit it up. He kind of looked like, I don't know if you remember Pac-Man Jones back in the day, where he was just this electric corner / kick returner, electric player.
So is he a cornerback or
Yeah, I believe
wide receiver?
I mean, what it showed me is he's basically a kick return. He's kind of like a special teamer.
just a specialist. Okay.
So, and that's all right. I'm sure his natural position is a corner. He looked kind of that demeanor. So,
right.
yeah.
Well, not to make the comparison, but Devin Hester, he wasn't a very good wide receiver, but he was a heck of a kick returner, punt returner, and
Possibly the greatest.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, people will definitely look at him as such. So, next we're going to talk about kind of the surprise cuts as far as everybody's making roster moves, getting down to that 53 player roster. Anybody really stand out to you that you're like, holy crap, I can't believe they cut him? Or
Yeah, surprise cuts. I mean, you mentioned earlier Damian Pierce just kind of taking over that starting role in Houston. Um, Man, I didn't think they would just go straight to Marlon Mack to cut him.
yeah,
I feel like they just brought him in as kind of like a prove it deal, and I don't know if he didn't play that well in preseason or not, or if he just, man, it seemed like he was at least second on the depth chart, but maybe there was kind of that dispute, between him and the organization that, if you guys don't want me to be your starter, I don't want to play for you, that kind of thing,
and they're pretty bare bones behind
Yeah.
Pierce now. They have Rex Burkhead.
Rex
I mean,
Burkhead and
Not that
yeah,
he's a really good changeup, but if you're talking someone who in a pinch needs to, get those tough yards, he's not it.
yeah.
So they're going to have to really rely on Pierce and kind of go from there. So yeah, I thought they would hang on to Mac, at least see what they have. But
Yeah.
I guess that was enough to see. Mine was Tyler Johnson, honestly, from the Bucks. So I thought he was pretty impressive last year. Granted, he had about 400 yards, maybe a little bit under that. Tom Brady kind of seemed to have a little bit of a rapport with him. And now he just flat out cut him. So
Yeah.
that's
And he got scooped up right away too, didn't he? Was it the Texans or something?
that sounds right. Which
Yeah.
obviously that'll help with Brandon Cooks, someone besides him, and yeah, they need all the help they can get. Truthfully.
Yeah, because it was between what you said, Tyler Johnson, right?
Yep.
And Scotty Miller. He's the other wide receiver in Tampa Bay. And I think Tyler Johnson actually outplayed him in the preseason. I
He
thought
did.
looked a
He
lot
was
better, but-
fantastic. He had 360 yards. Well, no, that's what he had last year receiving, but he did lead all their receivers in preseason in receptions. And,
Really?
Yeah, and
Wow.
yards. So it's kind of a head scratcher.
Well, when you get big names like Julio Jones in there, and
Yeah,
looking
yeah.
for time. Chris Godwin, he's coming back from injury, took the knee brace off, and he's showing some faith in that knee.
Mike
so.
Evans, obviously.
Yeah.
So it's a crowded wide receiver room, and sometimes it's just the odd man out.
I don't know. Maybe Tyler Johnson could have played tight end or something.
Probably
Maybe
made
tight
a
end.
probably made a good one because Gronk's not coming back. So
I may have seen one rumor about him coming back, but you get that every year now that he's retired. Oh, I'm gonna come back.
he might get the itch. You never know. He
Yeah.
might get the itch.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. And then Leatherwood was my final one from the Raiders. They just drafted him in 2021, and they're already cutting bait. So that speaks volumes. I know we talked a little bit that he can play different positions on any team really. He can play guard, tackle, whatever. So
Right.
he got picked up by the Bears pretty quick. So we'll be seeing him
Yeah.
this season. So next one kind of follows suit with cuts. There's some more NFL news. Ones that stand out. Jimmy G actually stays with the Niners.
Yeah, I was gonna say I didn't have any more cuts, but talk about somebody who stayed with their team. Huh?
Yeah. Kind of Green Bay's kryptonite, Jimmy G.
Yeah.
Debo would have more to do with that, but
Yeah.
yeah, it sounds like he's going to serve as a mentor to Trey Lance.
Yeah, and I was kind of torn by that whole thing. Like, if the 49ers really thought that, that's a lot of money for a backup quarterback. So the idea there is that they don't want to let him go, right? They don't want him to go to another team. But if the 49ers would have thought that Trey Lance or Jimmy Garoppolo would have been better on another team and perhaps outperformed the 49ers, then why wouldn't they just name Jimmy Garoppolo their starter in the first place? If there's any of that concern there, I don't know. Does Trey Lance really need a mentor?
So there's two scenarios that I think that this is about. First scenario is I think no one offered the 49ers what they wanted for Jimmy G. I think they lowballed the 49ers 6th or 7th, and that's all they really saw. And the 49ers probably saw more value in keeping Jimmy G just in case. Which my second scenario is Trey Lance ain't in. So if Trey Lance, his accuracy is, questionable, things like that, or has a bad game, there are reports of that too. So we'll see. Those are the two scenarios why I think they kept him. Either teams lowball them on trade offers, or maybe they're not sold on Trey Lance. We'll see.
Yeah, I saw some wild stat. It said he only had like 360 pass attempts since starting high school. Like, talk about coming from North Dakota State University, you know, that must not pass the ball all that much. And speaking with what you said about them lowballing Jimmy Garoppolo, I think it's because teams were just calling the 49ers bluff. Like, you're not going to pay him to stay more, and we know you're not going to pay him to stay more. So we're going to want you to drop him, or cut him rather, and we're going to come and scoop him up. So, you know, it's kind of that back and forth calling each other's bluffs, and I guess the 49ers felt that he is definitely a serviceable
For sure.
quarterback, and while that is a lot of money for a backup quarterback, just as you mentioned, you know, if Trey Lance sucks, that's a pretty cheap contract to go in and why? So because you're still paying for Trey Lance, but you know, it's some good money for a backup quarterback if he has to come in
And they did restructure too.
Yeah,
That was the second
yeah, they
part.
saved money too.
Yeah, so I think they're all right. It wasn't the worst move they could make at all. So you have Jimmy G in a pinch. Maybe, you know, a quarterback goes down mid-season and they call the Niners again and get a third. You know what I mean? So could be a win-win there. And then huge trade of C.J. Gardner-Johnson from the Saints to the Eagles. That was a pretty big move there, that safety. You get a starting safety and go that route. I think the Eagles, they might surprise some folks. They have a pretty loaded roster, and, you know, if they get good quarterback play from Hurts, I won't get too much into that, but just saying, like, if they keep on, you know, building their team like this, they could make some moves. So
Yeah, no, I think the Eagles are definitely poised for that. I think their organization surrounded Jalen Hurts with enough talent to say, hey, you got to be able to do it this year, otherwise you're not the guy. A similar situation in Miami, you know, surrounding Tua with Tyreek Hill. You got Mike Gesicki still there as who's that wide receiver? That other guy, Devontae Parker, or is he with the?
he went to the Patriots.
Yeah, he's with the Patriots.
But they're going to have a lot of these short.
Yeah.
Oh, they have Waddle.
Oh, that's right. I completely forgot about Waddle. Yeah.
I mean,
The big PPR monster.
He's a Blazer, so
Yeah.
you're going to see a lot of 5-yard tosses from two of the most accurate quarterback in the league. You might see him go to the house, so I think that'll be good. That's another team that could be a sleeper. Actually, let's involve, you know, you viewers. Type in a team that you think is going to be a surprise this year. Feel free to type in the comments of which team, beyond your own. I mean, we're all biased, right? But think of another team that you could see maybe shocking the league.
Yeah.
While you're doing that, we're going to talk about the NFC North, our favorite thing to talk about, and we're going to discuss what we think each team could need. You know, there's been a lot of roster moves, maybe cuts, and such. What do you think the Packers could need?
Yeah, I'm going to hit on it again. The wide receivers, I just think they have so much young, raw talent there, and I feel like they always have, but it just takes that one opportunity, and the stars kind of have to align, you know. Rodgers has to be there, and the wide receivers, you know, the route has to be perfect, and, you know, once that happens, once you make that connection, it can be the start of something really beautiful. So I'm thinking back to, I hate to bring it up, but it was a game in Detroit where the Packers were down, I think it was the fourth quarter, and Rodgers lobbed it up to Alan Lazard on like a, hey, I trust you, man, kind of type, you know, rope to the end zone, and Lazard came down with it, and, you know, you could just kind of see that was the moment that Rodgers and Lazard kind of had that connection. I would say for the Packers, it's going to be that one or two players and one or two plays really that kind of make it blossom into something beautiful, I guess.
Yeah, just gets things turned around. I also chose that for the Packers. Just more reliable and steady wide receiver play. And I think really that's what it is. You're going to have to see Watkins contribute. You're going to have to see, Dobbs contribute and really start to click. So Rogers mentioned he's not 100% happy right now, but that, like you said, it could be that one pass that he throws it to Lazard again this year or Dobbs, and they just start clicking. So yeah, more than a lot of opportunity. You guys are young. That's a great advantage of that. So.
Right.
Next is Vikings. I think cornerback play. That's the first thing that stands out to me. I think Patrick Peterson's getting a little long in the tooth. They did draft that rookie. I know you mentioned that last year, and he was pretty good actually.
Yeah.
So I think there's opportunity there. They're just learning. They're clicking. So with Justin Fields and his long ball, Aaron Rodgers and his long ball, they could be pressed for sure.
Right.
So yeah, that'd be one I would consider. How about you for the Vikings?
You know what? I actually kind of agree with you for the Vikings. So if you don't mind, I'll just go straight to the Bears.
Yeah, please.
We'll just move on to the
Please.
Bears.
Yeah.
And actually, I'm going to skip past the obvious and everything. I think they need everything to be a little bit better.
Yeah.
I think most importantly, like their offensive line. But again, that's kind of obvious. But one little thing I'd like to say is and it's something they already have too. I think it's the tight end position. I think this needs to be the year that Cole Kmet, I think he's a fourth-year guy. I think he really needs to showcase what he can do this year and prove that he belongs to stay on that roster. Maybe they end up picking up the fifth-year option on him if he, proves to be a serviceable guy. But I feel like if he doesn't do anything this year, he's just going to be a nobody, and the Bears are going to look to either bring in another guy or maybe draft another young tight end.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I think Justin Fields needs someone he can depend on, whether it's a check down or just you need those tough 10 yards, 15 yards. Cole Kmet has it right in front of him to stay with this team. I mean, they could go down just like Greg Olsen. Greg Olsen started off with the Bears, didn't fully live up to his potential, then went to the Panthers and hooked up with Cam Newton and tore it up. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen with Cole Kmet, but
I hate to see that happen though. That's happened too often with guys in the Packers organization. They draft real young and they like to keep them around, but then maybe they're not working out. They'll get rid of them and they'll go get picked up somewhere else and perform really well. Guys I'm thinking of, like Micah Hyde or Casey Hayward. These guys that have moved on from the Packers and they've just been studs elsewhere. And it's tough to see, but I really hope Cole Kmet works out there with the Bears. So.
On topic, kind of, I want to know your thoughts, Eric, about Scatling. I mean, is that something that can happen?
Marquez. So honestly, I think Sky Moore, their rookie wide receiver, he's got to be the best wide receiver on that roster. Now, I think because he's a rookie, he probably won't get that much playing time. But yeah, you got guys on that team like Juju Smith-Schuster and like you said, Marquez Valdez-Scantling. I am excited to see what Marquez can do because as a deep ball thrower, I think Patrick Mahomes is more accurate than Aaron Rodgers is.
Yeah.
It's just maybe it's something about the arc that he has on it, or being able to track it a little bit easier when it's in the air. But at the same time, there were plenty of catchable balls in Green Bay that Marquez could have caught. But I know why you're bringing it up because that maturity in a wide receiver eventually starts to set in. And maybe he moves. He's a big Twitch streamer actually, so maybe he moves away from video games and he starts focusing more on his career. No, he's definitely a guy I could see. Probably not like huge numbers, maybe like a 600 or 700 yard season, but not a lot of catches. Catching a lot of deep balls. Maybe I could see like five or six touchdowns this year from him on deep balls. So.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking too. I just kind of see if you were kind of seeing the same vision as far as Scatling goes.
Yeah.
I think he's probably going to feel a little more comfortable with Mahomes. He's probably going to have a little more fun, most likely. Mahomes just kind of seems like more of uplifting kind of guy. Not that Rodgers isn't. But
Well, on the other side of things, the Packers did get Sammy Watkins, and he came from the Chiefs.
you're right.
So Sammy, he's been talking up Aaron Rodgers like, man, Patrick Mahomes is a god, but Aaron Rodgers, he's on a whole nother level. Like
He is.
it'll be interesting to see kind of because they could have pretty similar numbers actually in different ways, but I think they could have pretty similar numbers. Marquez Valdez-Scantling and Sammy Watkins.
Yeah.
That'll be interesting to see.
It'd be fun to watch.
Yeah.
Finally, Lions. What we're lacking is linebacking core. We have been exposed for the last 3 years. We really didn't do anything to fix that whatsoever. We have this new rookie, Rodriguez. He's something to look for. He actually won the starting spot, offensive linebacker or outside linebacker spot. So I'm excited to see him. He's a short guy, 5'11", just another try-hard guy, kind of like Hutchinson. But then we have nobody. It's going to be, you guys are going to expose us quite a bit with your running game and even passing game. So you'll see that. That's,
Yeah. Of course, when I think of the Lions, I always think, who's going to be their next Calvin Johnson? I can already kind of see DeAndre Swift not being comparable to, but, being right up there with Barry Sanders. And, man, that just feels kind of hard to say. That's like way too much praise for DeAndre Swift. But, no, he definitely, I think, has planted himself as the number one back. And I remember seeing him on a few episodes of Hard Knocks and how they're kind of talking him up and everything. And, I had no idea about the linebackers actually, but I'm always looking for the Lions and who their next big wide receiver is going to be. I don't think it's going to be Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think he's always going to be kind of like this. He doesn't really have to be slot, but he could be the number 2 wide receiver there as well, and just kind of supplement whatever they got going on the other side. And it makes me excited for Jameson Williams to
absolutely
come in and get some playing time and see what he can do.
Yeah, we'll be seeing Jameson Williams week 5, officially on the PUP list. So he's going to take that time to nurse that ACL and just get better. And like we discussed on our first, is just why rush it? Why rush it? You have all the time in the world. You have a talented wide receiver. You draft him high. Give him time to heal and see what he can do. So, yeah, exciting times. I'm very excited to see him. I'm excited to see St. Brown. I'm willing to bet he'll get over 1,000 yards this year, probably 8 to 10 touchdowns. I'm thinking lofty.
Yeah, that's pretty high.
Yeah, so Chark's there as well, so that might bite into that a little bit.
Yeah, I'm not a believer in Chark. Yeah, I think I'll need to see it before I believe it.
Yeah.
So, what do you guys think? You can let us know in the comments what you think your team needs. And by the way, if you do like this video, make sure you like and subscribe, and let us know how we're doing. What's next on the agenda?
Early award predictions. This is always kind of fun. I'm going to interrupt it for 1 second though. We just want to say that we are drinking Oktoberfest because it's that time of year.
Yeah.
They were all out of pumpkin spice. I'm just kidding. No, it's Oktoberfest for these guys.
Yeah, cheers.
Cheers to the football season. Very excited.
Yeah, I'm so excited. I can't believe it's only 2 days away now. I'm so pumped.
Early award predictions. We're going to start off with MVP. Who do you got, Eric?
Oh, MVP. I'd like to say Aaron Rodgers again, but if it's not Aaron Rodgers, I think Josh Allen. He's a guy on my radar, and I don't even think it's close. I think Josh Allen is definitely due for one. Talk about the end of the season last year and a little bit into the playoffs. They found another gem with their wide receiver core in Gabriel Davis. Now you got guys like Stephon Diggs, Gabriel Davis, Dawson Knox. Hopefully
loaded
they found
running backs.
Yeah, loaded running backs. They got Devin Singletary and Zach Moss. Yeah, we'll see what he can do. But hopefully they found a gem with James Cook, Dalvin Cook's younger brother. Seems to be kind of like that scat back, PPR type guy,
Yeah.
catching balls in the backfield. But and not to mention too, Josh Allen really has a nose for the end zone himself. So once you get in the red zone, he does tend to take off, get those rushing touchdowns. But on the same level, Aaron Rodgers is still that guy too. Once you get in the end zone or the red zone, he definitely has a knack for that end zone, and he wants to rush it in sometimes too. But I think Rodgers is more of the cerebral candidate to maybe obtain that MVP award at the end of the year. But it's such an unknown, especially with Devontae Adams gone now. He's going to have to rely on his running backs really. Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon maybe catching some balls out of the backfield. But yeah, we'll see what Alan Lazard can do. But I think what would make it special is that, the MVP award goes to somebody that just makes their team better. And if he wasn't there, he wouldn't be making their team better. So if you think of a guy on the Packers roster, maybe at the end of the year, they're in the playoffs and maybe they have the number 1 or 2 seed, and you're thinking, okay, if Jordan Love was in there at quarterback, could they have also gotten there? It'll be interesting to see what Rodgers can do with his receivers and how he makes them special every single year, no matter who's in there. So yeah, I guess those are my two, Aaron Rodgers and Josh Allen.
Okay. Yeah, I think if Aaron Rodgers gets it this year, it would probably be his most impressive of all of his MVPs that he's had. Because of that, I don't want to say lack of talent, because he still has, like you said, a good running back core and some up-and-coming wide receivers and a decent offensive line to keep him protected still. But I am seeing a lot of roar about Josh Allen as well. I mean, the dude is a beast. He's tall, he's big, he can scramble, has a cannon for an arm. I'm seeing a lot of news on that. I'm going to go do the outcast and do Patrick Mahomes. I think he's going to be motivated more than ever to show that, his one Super Bowl wasn't just a fluke, that he is, I think he wants to be better than Josh Allen. I really does.
Yeah, that's interesting that you mentioned that too, because now that they don't have Tyreek Hill there, I mean, obviously he's not the only player on the Chiefs roster, but you are losing a big chunk in Tyreek Hill, and I guess you could say the same thing for the Packers too, but these two teams, they're not going to be in those situations late in the game where, we'll just run the ball and run out the clock, or we'll just dump it out and run out the clock. No, I think these guys will actually be in it for the full 4 quarters of each game. They're going to be putting up numbers all game, and I think numbers-wise, he'll definitely be up there in the to contend for that MVP title.
How about Offensive Player of the Year?
Offensive Player of the Year. Well, since we all named all quarterbacks, I think that's gotta go to one of those quarterbacks that we mentioned. But let's say we have an outstanding year from a running back or an outstanding year from a wide receiver. Maybe that award can go to one of those guys. Who do you see for one of those?
I have Jonathan Taylor.
JT.
I mean, I only see that upward trajectory just going up.
Who won it last year? Did he win it last year as well?
If he didn't, he should have.
Or maybe, yeah.
He
was a rookie last year, right?
No, second year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I just see with Matt Ryan just kind of serving as kind of like a game manager at this point in his career. Maybe a little bit better. He'll probably get his 3,000 yards passing, maybe 25 touchdowns or whatever. But I still think their offense is going to go through JT. And I'm going to say it early season prediction, he's going to hit 2K.
Okay. Yeah, 2,000 yards. Who else I could picture getting 2,000 yards is Derrick Henry. I think, you say that about him every year, but these analysts sometimes, they like to say, once these running backs hit a certain age, they just kind of get this fall off. And, there are a few outliers in that list. I think very few running backs do have that opportunity to keep going and continuing to be that dominant runner And honestly, it took Derrick Henry 3 years to really showcase his talents. That I don't want to brag too much, but I'm sure a lot of people saw it of him coming out of college. Like, dude, get this guy in the lineup. He's a big boy. He needs to be running the ball. And I forget who was there. Maybe it was DeMarco Murray or actually they brought in some guy from the Patriots. I think
Deion Lewis or something.
Yeah, Deion Lewis.
Deion Lewis.
And he's not a big guy like
No.
Derrick Henry, but just to be a part of that running back group there. But definitely took a while for Derrick Henry to come in. I think Derrick Henry is still the dominant runner that he once was, and still is. And I think he's definitely going to be able to put up these yards. Now, as far as being the offensive player of the year, that's a different story because he had that kind of injury bug last year. He was out for so many games, and that's really just what we'll have to see. He's going to have to stay healthy that entire time. So that being said, it's really hard for me to pick a running back for that position because running backs, it seems like such a fragile position. You really got to be a young guy, and it's got to be your one opportunity, and you got to be healthy all year. And I think last year, that was JT's year to do just that. I think maybe this year JT gets an injury or two. So my guy that I'm going to pick, I think Justin Jefferson, wide receiver at Minnesota Vikings. I think he's going to get a lot of targets in a new offensive scheme. I don't think we've seen all of what that scheme brings in the preseason games, but I think maybe a little more passing, maybe some better connections for Kirk Cousins to kind of get out to him, and that whole Minnesota offense in general, actually. But I think Justin Jefferson, he'll definitely put up some numbers to maybe contend with that offensive player of the year position.
And he already had a great year last year. So to see him improve upon that, that's pretty scary for our division. And for the whole league, to be honest. So,
Yeah.
I mean, if you see Justin Jefferson catch fire, and we kind of discussed this last episode, Kirk Cousins, he's not bad.
No.
He can get the ball out, he's accurate, he's smart with the ball, I think he's probably a pretty good leader for that team, so, yeah. Now we're going to go on the opposite side of the ball, you could say. Defensive player of the year. I'm going Nick Bosa. So
Interesting. Okay.
I think Aaron Donald, obviously, he's going to be up there. He's still the same menace he was before, even when he's swinging helmets at people. And
Yeah.
but
No, I agree. It's either got to be either of the Bosas, either Joey or Nick.
Yeah.
And I think TJ Watt, he could also be in that
oh yeah.
kind of situation there because he's healthy now, right?
Yes, yeah,
he's
he's recovered.
Yeah, so and that he just makes that entire Steelers defense kind of fit together. It really starts with him in the trenches. Being able to get with the cornerback, get to the quarterback, starting to force some of those turnovers. I think he's even picked off the ball a few times too, and it's been like that for the past few years, apart from Aaron Donald, but that's another guy you gotta at least mention there. Yeah, he's getting older, and you get those retirement talks, but anytime I see a video of him without pads on, like. Dude's a monster. Yeah,
it's scary. People shouldn't look like that.
Yeah, exactly. I would not want to go up against that. So, yeah, either of the Bosas, TJ Watt. I'll go different than you. I think I'll pick Joey Bosa. I'll pick the older brother
There you
there.
go.
So.
He's due for a really, really standout year. I mean, he's always really consistent, but
Right.
yeah, I like that. That's good. Nick Bosa, I also wanted to mention, is playing on his last contract year, so sometimes that kind of plays.
Kind of motivates.
It kind of motivates to get that big paycheck, which is really surprising that they haven't extended him. I mean, he's been everything as advertised out of Ohio State, but sometimes they want to see what they have, and they probably were holding out to see what they could do with Debo's contract. But
Yeah, I think any organization knows that. Like when you got a star player, you want to pretend like you don't have a star player as long as you can, because you know, once you pay him that money, you kind of lock yourself up in a salary cap situation. And while you definitely do want to reward that person for playing well, actually, I should eat my words there. I hate it when teams pay their players for what they've done and not what they expect them to do.
Yeah.
So like when you get guys like later into their 30s and quarterbacks are a different story, but you get wide receivers or running backs kind of getting around that 30-year mark, like I'm the best wide receiver in the league, I'm the best running back in the league, and they pay him these ridiculous, ludicrous contracts. Le'Veon Bell, for example, you know, for what he's done, but then he's like, oh, I got all this money now and I don't need to do shit. So
Ezekiel Elliott, for example. But there's quite a few names you could bring out there, and I agree. I mean, we're going to talk rookies now. We kind of did this before, but offensive rookie of the year, my choice was Drake London. I said that last episode. I'm holding to it. I think he has a lot of potential. There's a reason why he was the first wide receiver picked in the draft. Tall, skilled, great with the ball, good body balance. So, who do you got?
So I'm going to move away from my prediction I did last time. I said Romeo Doubs. I don't think, especially with them probably having to rotate wide receivers this year, I don't think it's going to pan out to be that way. I don't think he's going to get that much of a target share to be able to put up big numbers, to be able to consider him for that award. So I would have to go, and I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm going to pick two. One's going to be a running back. I'm going to pick Damian Pierce for my running back for the Texans. And wide receiver, I'll pick George Pickens, wide receiver for the Steelers.
Those are solid picks. Yeah, really good upward trajectory there. Especially with Pierce, you know they're going to rely on him a lot.
Yeah.
Quarterback, he's kind of David Mills. He's trying to figure out who he is and see if he's the guy for that team. So they have to find that stability in Pierce. So
do you know Davis Mills was the #1 recruit out of high school?
That's wild. Wow.
I couldn't even tell you which college he played for, honestly. But he
was
the
it
#1 recruit out of
Houston?
Yeah, I think it was somewhere out of Texas. Now that I think about it, So
we'll see. Maybe this is his shot. We'll see. Defensive, I'm picking my boy Aiden Hutchinson. I really feel he's going to make that Lions pass rush better. I think he's going to really get after the rock. He's going to get full effort every play, and that's going to reflect in his numbers. So, to me, it's a walk away. I think Aiden Hutchinson's he's going to show some numbers this year.
And while I don't really focus too much on the defensive side of the ball, I'm going to have to say Sauce Gardner, cornerback for the Jets. Just from what I've heard and what I've read up on, and even some footage I've watched too, just this really savvy, smooth guy, whether it's man-to-man or just understanding how the zone works. I think he's just going to be a lock for this team, and I think he'll be with them for the long run.
Yeah, I don't think many quarterbacks really threw his weight in the preseason, and nobody threw it at him in college. So I think the Sauce would be a really good one.
Yeah, and so that's hard too to pick a cornerback because you think of those guys. Even if you were just a lockdown guy all year, and say you didn't even have one completion allowed. Like I don't think the NFL looks at that like, oh yeah, he was the defensive player of the year. Like I think some interceptions are going to have to come along with that for him to really stand out and be noticed. A guy I'm thinking of is Jair Alexander, quarterback for the Green Bay Packers. Really underappreciated, or maybe underappreciated, but overlooked, I should say. Just a lockdown corner kind of guy, doesn't really allow many passes. Not too many interceptions. Maybe he's got small hands, smaller frame, but just a lockdown kind of guy. And I think now he's starting to finally kind of get that recognition he deserves.
That's good, yeah. And maybe the Jets will
pay him too.
Good. Yeah. Well, when you perform like that, it's expected for sure.
Yeah.
Maybe the Jets will strike twice like they did with Revis. Get
Revis Island.
some sauce in there, Sauce Island.
Yeah.
Comeback player of the year, Jameis Winston. That's who I'm going to go with. I think if he stays healthy as well after that ACL tear, he's that guy that can, and he's thrown for 5,000 yards, but he's also thrown 30 touchdowns and 30 interceptions. You got to wonder which Jameis you're going to get, but if he's on top of his game and, making that Saints offensive cook, that's what we go with.
Yeah. Man, so I'm trying to think, do these comeback players of the year, do you think they would have need to have been established guys before?
I think
before they got injured?
I think so. I think you'd have to see some kind of flash of, they're back to their old selves, or they're back to that trajectory of being better.
Yeah, maybe you could give me a few other names while I'm thinking about it, but a guy last year, he was a rookie last year, but running back from the Jaguars, Travis Etienne, we didn't get to see any of them. I don't even remember seeing any of them in preseason last year, but he got injured before preseason with a foot injury.
Yeah.
So, we didn't really see, I don't think we saw any of him this preseason, but let's say he does come out and he's just this instant lock in that backfield and he is 1,000-yard rusher, or maybe best case scenario 1,000 and 1,000, receiving and rushing. Wouldn't that be crazy?
I mean, I think that would automatically qualify him for comeback.
Yeah, but sure. Either that or J.K. Dobbins. What is he in his third year?
That would be a tremendous
one.
one.
Play at all?
No. Yeah,
because he's a third-year guy, right? Didn't he play a little bit?
Yeah, this will be his third year, I believe.
Yeah, so he could potentially be that kind of candidate there, though. I don't know if he's fully ready to go, from what I've read. But man, I could have sworn I had a guy for this comeback player of the year, and I definitely think Jameis Winston is a good one. I've even been debating him in some fantasy leagues that I'm playing in this year. He's getting drafted super late in some of these rounds, and he's always been top 10 quarterback, whether he has the picks or not. He's throwing up the points, so I can definitely see it happening.
You don't see many games where he's throwing under 300 yards.
No.
You know what I mean? Like, he just kind of creeps in there and gets 336 yards.
Yeah, and he was on pace for such an awesome year last year, too. He had that blowout against the Packers.
Game one.
Yeah, where he threw, four or five touchdown passes. And he was on pace for a really good season. So I think you bring in a guy like Chris Olave and get him another weapon for that offense. I think just being able to chuck the ball up like that, I could see that happening. Jameis Winston. Yeah,
do you think that Saints offense depreciates with Sean Payton being gone? Do you think they skip a beat? Do you think you see some different schemes, or maybe a little more push towards Alvin Kamara? Do you see any changes there?
Yeah, so, I forgot he was gone. Who's the guy in there now, do you know?
Hell, I don't know.
No, yeah, so, with the brilliance and some of the flashes we saw of Jameis Winston last year, it makes me kind of wonder if Sean Payton kind of got through to him and, maybe flipped the light switch in his brain or something, and hopefully that kind of sticks with him. Maybe he's got some mentorship, some things he's taken away from the Sean Payton era that he can translate into this next year. And we'll see. I mean, he already went from having to know the Tampa Bay offense to the New Orleans Saints offense. So what's to say he can't learn another offense from another guy?
Yeah.
And I don't know too much about the Saints organization, but maybe they still have the offensive coordinators there. Maybe they still have the same offensive system there. I just don't know. Let me know in the comments if it's still the same thing that they got going on there. But
sure.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, that's very good. Last coach of the year. Who do you have?
Coach of the year. Yeah, so it's got to be. I keep harping on the Packers, but if the Packers are successful this year and they do make it to the playoffs, I think it is the year that Coach LaFleur really kind of deserves that recognition. Mm-hmm. So you can say, it's not just because you have Aaron Rodgers on your team. you really are catering to different game plans against different teams, and so much work goes into being a good head coach, and I think the Packers organization knew that right away when they hired him. He was one of the quickest hires last year. I think he came in for, well, not last year, but a few years ago. He came in for an interview and they hired him. It was like 40 minutes later or something, and he was the guy they knew they wanted, and I think, but yeah, there's an asterisk there. I think if the Packers do really well this year, doesn't have to be an undefeated season, obviously, but just to be able to get that recognition he deserves for putting together another championship or playoff team, Super Bowl contender team. I'm throwing out words here now, but
I know what you mean.
yeah, exactly.
I mean, the guy came from offensive coordinator to the Titans, and they weren't. That offense wasn't highly touted, but he came to the Packers and just lit a fire under the whole organization.
Yeah.
And just brought consistent winning. So if he does that with, I don't want to say they're not a depleted roster, they're a very good roster. But if he keeps on this trajectory of just being a good coach, yeah, I could see him totally being at least a candidate for Coach of the Year, bare minimum. Mine is Sean McDermott. You mentioned Josh Allen earlier. I think Sean McDermott is a very good coach, both defensively and obviously he has great minds for the offense as well. He has good people in the organization to lead that end of it. Since they lost Debo to the Giants, now their head coach. But I think he just really is a good motivator. He kind of has taken over that, I don't want to say Bill Belichick-esque kind of vibe to him, where he's just like really intimidating and just kind of, serious. I think he's a good coach, and I think he gets the best out of all those players. So they're one of my Super Bowl, I guess, picks this year. I think they have a really strong chance of going to the Super Bowl and possibly winning it all. It'd be kind of fun for Josh Allen to get his first. Darn close last year, so. Yeah. Final little piece of tonight's video, we're gonna pick each division's, who do we think that winner's gonna be? Who's gonna lead that division? So we'll try to make this quick and kind of just pick who we're gonna pick. NFC North, I picked the Packers. Who do you have? I guess I probably don't even have to.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to pick the Packers. Right behind them, in last place in that division, I'm gonna say the Bears. But surprisingly enough, second place, I'm gonna say the Detroit Lions. I think, with the new coach coming into the Vikings, I think they're still gonna try to figure out what their identity is, and we may not know. They could be just above or just below 500 type team. So I think it'll be a lot of back and forth in second and third place for the Vikings and the Lions.
Yeah, it's music to my ears. NFC South, I think the Bucks. I think we're going to see a repeat there. Tom Brady's back. I mean, that always, puts a team in contention. I don't think you're going to see a huge dip in his production. He keeps great shape, and he's just as motivated as ever. So, and they still have all the weapons. Mike Evans, Godwin, all these players. So
I'm gonna go against it. I'm gonna feed into the fuel that all the rumors have been going on these past few weeks in preseason. Tom Brady's absent from his team. I think he's got something going on with his wife there, Giselle. I hate to speculate on people's marriages and stuff like that, but it can affect somebody personally like that. If that truly is what's going on. But you mentioned the age thing. I think it's eventually going to get to him. I think he's got to start slowing down eventually. So, but who's going to be that division? Who's going to be that team in that division that's going to take over? Well, we talked about him earlier, Jameis Winston. I think if he has a fully healthy season, you got Michael Thomas coming back, Chris Olave, you got Alvin Kamara. He's going to play all season, by the way. I wouldn't worry about that. Even though he did beat a dude's ass for some reason, they're not holding him out. He's got a good lawyer. I guess he's pushing his trial date back, and the NFL's not going to do anything until all that gets settled. So But yeah, I mean, even if Alvin Kamara does go down, you still have Mark Ingram. He is an older guy, but he knows the system and he's effective in it. Taysom Hill, for whatever reason, he's probably still gonna put up some monster numbers, either as a tight end or a rushing running back. That whole team really looks good and has a chance to take over that division, I think.
Didn't they pick up Tyrann Mathieu as well, the safety?
That's something I'd have to look into. I can't remember if he re-signed with the Chiefs or if they did bring him in.
I want to say they did, and that would be huge. I mean, he's a great
Yeah.
leader, so yeah, I could see the Saints. Yeah, that'd be good. I would say if Tom Brady, if he's in his own head about as far as like you said, what's going on personally off the field, like you said, that could affect him off the field. You know, I think possibly Giselle probably wanted him to retire, and he decided to go another round, and the dude's just motivated. So
yeah. And like I said, I hate to speculate.
Right. I mean, it could be anything really.
Speaking about that, I did hear some other rumor that he was on like Dancing with the Stars or something, or
Oh, the one where they put
the
a
Masked Singer.
Masked Singer, there
where
it
he
is.
was filming some episodes for that, and they had to keep real hush hush about it.
Also seen Botox, like he had to stay away for his Botox. So, Tom Brady, if you could comment in our comments here, just let us know
What's going on, bro?
what's going on, buddy. We need to know for our predictions, obviously. NFC West, I'm going with the Super Bowl champs, the Rams. I mean, it's a good division. You have your Niners, you have your Cardinals, things like that. But I think Stafford throwing the ball healthy again.
Yeah.
Loaded offense, terrific minded coach. Defense is strong with Aaron Donald, and I mean, you lost Von Miller, but I think they're going to be fine. So, what do you have in that division?
Nope, I agree with that. We'll go right to the next one.
Sounds good. Shocker here, NFC least is what some people call it. NFC East. I'm going to go with the Eagles. I mentioned it earlier. I think they're going to overcome the Cowboys. I mean, that's really their only rival, or even close to them would be the Cowboys. But I'm going to go Eagles.
Yeah, I'll have to go Eagles too. I think they've definitely been the most active in the offseason, and they're trying to put together a now team for Jalen Hurts while he's still under that rookie contract. And I agree, Eagles.
There we go. AFC North, I'm going to go with Super Bowl contenders, the Bengals. I think with Joe Burrow healthy again, Joe Mixon, all their weapons, I think they arguably have the best wide receiver core in the league. But I guess that's my opinion. So I think they're going to run it back, and they're going to have that division, no problem.
Okay. Yeah, it's hard to say. You want to root for the Steelers and their defense that they got going on there, but their offense is still an unknown, with Mitch Trubisky and maybe Kenny Pickett. Another team I could see definitely taking over that division is going to be the Baltimore Ravens.
Oh, yeah.
I think, and we'll just leave out the Browns. I don't think Jacoby Brissett, right? That's the guy that's...
He's going to be taking over for the first 9, or is it 9 games? 9 games.
It'll be interesting if he could possibly put them in that position to make a playoff run, and Deshaun Watson comes in and he plays the Texans on the projected game that he comes back.
Yeah,
so no surprise there that the NFL possibly planned that.
I don't think they see any marketing in that at all.
Yeah. It could all be up for grabs coming near the end of the year, but yeah, the Bengals are the obvious pick. I'm just going to say the Ravens. I think if Lamar Jackson can stay healthy and possibly get paid.
I hope he does. I mean,
I think now they got rid of Marquise Brown too to the Cardinals. I think Rashad Bateman can definitely step it up. Maybe guys like Devin Duvernay can come into the spotlight, and they're always going to be a run first team. And Mark Andrews, he's always going to be the first look for that team. But yeah, I think if Lamar Jackson can stay healthy, he may even make an MVP candidate too if he can throw the ball around a little more in addition to running it. So
we'll stay healthy, obviously. Yeah. AFC South, I have the Colts. We mentioned them earlier with JT and Matty Ice just kind of being that game manager, and they have a pretty solid defense too. So, and it's a weak division if we're going to be honest. You have the Jags, you have the Texans, and I think they're the clear-cut better team. There might be some surprises. I mean, Trevor Lawrence would be fun to watch.
See, I'm looking for a reason to
Yeah.
pick the Jaguars, but you're right. I don't think there's any reason to stray away from the obvious. I think the Colts, even you got emerging stars like Michael Pittman Jr. I think Matt Ryan's going to be able to put him into a position to close out a lot of games, and Jonathan Taylor will just come in and clean up, really just kind of close out games like that. But maybe Trevor Lawrence does show flashes and becomes the second-year whiz, that really stands out, and they would definitely be a candidate for next year for division winners. Same thing with the Texans too. I think this Davis Mills, if he maybe plays better this year and doesn't throw a whole bunch of interceptions, and there's got to be a reason they didn't draft the quarterback, right? So I mean, they still see something in this guy, and that'll be interesting too.
They could have Malik Willis. I mean, a lot of teams could have Malik Willis over and over and over again.
Yeah.
But I mean, maybe they saw something in Mills, and I know they like his leadership. There's been reports that he's a really good, game manager and huddle manager and good motivator. So with Lovie Smith though as your coach, I don't see them. I don't think they're going to be the shocker this year. Trevor Lawrence, I think he's going to have an outstanding year. That's my opinion, but this one's tough. All right, so this is.
No, save that one for last. Go to the East first.
All right. AFC East, Buffalo Bills.
Yeah,
We've been talking about it a
Bills.
lot in this show, and I think we'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, Buffalo Bills.
Buffalo Bills.
Especially with Jonathan Allen being the MVP candidate. I don't see anyone else on that division really taking it over.
No.
Maybe you got wild card teams like the
Dolphins.
Dolphins or
I mean, Mac Jones, I'm hearing he's having a really shitty go at offense. And when you have, Fat Patricia running the plays, it's, Patriots, I think you're going to see a decline. This may be the last year Bill Belichick coaches for them. But, we're going to go with the toughest division, I would say the best division in entire NFL, and that's the AFC West. I'm going Chiefs. My MVP prediction was Patrick Mahomes, and I think, with Andy Reid and just the roster they have going, that's going to be my pick is the Chiefs.
Yeah, so they all have such good quarterbacks, right? So that's why we're arguing which team is going to come out on top in that division. So immediately my first thought is, okay, which defense is going to be the least likely to crumble? You got such crazy... Man, you put up a lot of yards with Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert throwing a lot of touchdowns. I honestly think the Broncos might be a good candidate for that. Russell Wilson, you got guys like John Elway coming into Denver, winning a Super Bowl, retiring. Peyton Manning coming into Denver, winning a Super Bowl, retiring. Russell Wilson, he could be next on the docket. Of course, he has a few more years in him left, but I really like that Denver defense, and if I weren't picking Denver, I'm going to have to pick the Raiders, just because I'm trying not to say Devontae Adams, but Devontae Adams, he's such a good wide receiver, and
Derek Carr and him, they're actual buddies.
Yeah, maybe I wouldn't pick the Raiders though, but
when you're talking which defense is less likely to crumble, you're mentioning Nick Bosa.
Yeah, so maybe the Chargers or
Joey
Bosa.
Joey Bosa,
right?
the Chargers have
because they also have Derwin James too, right? That safety.
They just took Patriots big corner Jackson.
Oh yeah.
Who was a shutdown, so they're stacked on defense.
Yeah, so maybe it could be
Herbert,
the Chargers.
Eckler, Mike Williams, Keenan Allen. They're dangerous.
Yeah.
That would be my sleeper, I guess, in that division, probably.
Man, that's such a hard one. You're right. I think the Broncos are maybe a year away from.
What do you guys think?
Yeah.
AFC
Let us know what you guys
West.
think.
In the comments, who do you think? Who's your division winner?
I'll probably go I was gonna say San Diego. Where are they now? LA.
LA.
LA Chargers.
You're thinking the LT days.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, we're gonna close on that. Just want to say thank you guys for tuning in. I mean, we're having just as much as fun as hopefully you guys are watching it.
Yeah.
We plan on doing this pretty often during this NFL football season. I mean, there's a lot of good games, a lot more we'll be able to talk about.
Yeah.
So as that grows, we'll grow. And any last words, Eric?
You know, I'm just excited for football. I want to save all my words for these coming weeks and what's going to happen. And man, I'm just so excited for football. Football's back, baby.
Woo!
Yeah, so let us know. Make sure you guys like and subscribe if you liked the content here. And we'll look forward to seeing you guys later throughout the season.
All right. Thanks.
Cheers.
Cheers.